Hello and thank you for joining us for another episode of Population Timeline. This weekly program comes to you from the National Population Commission, the Nigerian government agency that provides demographic data for national development. I am Nkechi Okeshola.
National Population Commission, providing demographic data for national development.
Kano State Government House recently hosted members of the National Census Publicity Committee who were in the state to sensitize people on the 2023 Population and Housing Census. Dr. Garaba Abari, Director General of the National Orientation Agency, represented the Minister of Information and Culture, who is the chairman of the committee. He called on the governor to ensure all residents of the state are counted because everyone counts.
We are in Kano for two reasons. Number one, to engage with critical stakeholders in the area of awareness creation about the forthcoming National Housing and Population Census. Number two, to also engage with the Kano State public on what is expected or what they are expecting from the census, and therefore from this committee, raise the necessary questions where there are gray areas, ask the technical experts to give answers to these gray areas, and of course ask for the advice of the Kano people, because the census is all about them. This is the second. The third, Your Excellency, and this is what we have done today through a town hall, which was composed of all critical stakeholders cutting across the religious and the traditional institutions. The census is a very important national event, Your Excellency, and this is a particular event that is different from the ones we have had in the past. Other countries in the world, in other climes, censuses are usually conducted at intervals of between 5 and 10 years. In Nigeria, the last census we had was 17 years ago. And you will all agree with me, Your Excellency, members of gentlemen and ladies of in this hall, that from the last 17 years, the population of Nigeria has grown exponentially. And we need to know actually how much we are, the spatial distribution, the security implication of getting to know how much we are, area of provisioning of infrastructure, of social services, and. Your Excellency, I want to commend you and especially the Kano State government and people for knowing the importance of such activity. In Kano, and it is in Kano alone, of all the 36 states of the Federation, that you had a senior special assistant to the governor on public affairs, and in further appreciation of that office and of that role, you upgraded that office to that of a special advisor on population affairs. This tells you how much you and the Kano State Government has paid attention to the issue of population, its management, and how it is largely handled. We feel that the media must have to begin to saturate the airwaves with the correct information and dispel all this fake news and the misinformation that are characterizing the postings on the social media about the census. Your Excellency, sir, where we were in the palace, the Emir of Kano had given us commitment and for partnership, and because we know how the traditional institution is structured when it comes to information communication.
In his response, Kano State Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje said the importance of census data means all will be done to ensure success of the exercise.
This all-important project, that is the National Census, is long overdue for Nigeria in order to satisfy our own socio-economic development, planning and development, and also in order to satisfy our international development partners, which is absolutely necessary. This has made it very, very important to conduct this census in this very year. You are most welcome to Kano, the commercial nerve center of the northern part of this country, and by extension, being a mega city, is also a commercial nerve center of some West African countries. So you can see that Kano State is a state that must take this issue seriously because of our peace and stability in Kano State, the most peaceful state in Nigeria as of today. We have so many people coming to resettle in Kano now, especially from the northern part of this country because of the security challenges in our neighboring states. Many people are coming to settle here. We assure you, we are fully conscious of the socio-economic development that we need data. We need figures in order to distribute our social amenities, in order to provide security of our people, and also in order to satisfy the democratic ideals that is going on now. We need figures. So we assure you, we involve all stakeholders. I'm so happy that you visited the traditional institution, which is one of the biggest stakeholders. We are involving our media houses. We have one of the highest media houses, especially radio, both public and private media houses. We are involving them in this publicity. We have the women, we have the youth, we have the business community. We have so many stakeholders that we are involving in this publicity. So we are providing the necessary enabling environment for this exercise to succeed. And luckily enough, we have the security coverage that will not discourage our members in the publicity and your own members.
Garba Abari later decorated the Kano State Governor as Census Ambassador. A delegation of the National Population Commission recently visited Kwara State and were received by the Deputy Governor. Chairman of the National Population Commission briefed the Deputy Governor on their activities, especially as it relates to the forthcoming population and housing census, and thanked the Kwara State government for its support to the Kwara State office of the Commission, which has contributed to the success story of NPC in the state.
The whole idea is to make sure we have people who are on ground. They will do the census without having to travel to any part of the country or a part of the state, but they should conduct the census where they reside. They finish the day's job, go back home, prepare for the job for tomorrow. And that's how they do to finish the exercise. So we have done that. We have done, to be able to monitor what each and every enumerator is doing, and the supervisor and coordinators. We have dashboards. We have at the headquarters, we have in every state, so that we'll monitor the activities of our staff. Nobody will go and sit under a tree and say he's demarcating a house. No, we'll be able to track him with the facility, even the level of the functionality of the handheld device that is using. We'll be able to know the battery level and so on and so forth. So we've deployed a lot of technology into this to make sure that we have efficiency and we have accuracy and inclusivity. At the end of the exercise, I pray we don't have as much cases in the tribunal as we had in the past, because the data to be generated will be verifiable. We have also call centers and situation room in the headquarters, and every state will have that, so that we'll be engaging the public where we have complaints here and there, we'll be able to address them. So I want to assure that this census is going to be different from the past censuses. We have done the national level training to recruit trainers and facilitators that will train those that would train others. So we started from national to zonal to state. That's where we have prepared to, that we were going to the final, which is local government level training, for us to go into the census. And when we reported this situation to Mr. President, in his own wisdom, he decided, yes, we can do this, we can be accurate, but you know, the issue of acceptability, it's very important. So it's good to engage the incoming administration to, you know, fully participate in it too, and own it, so that when the outcome is released, they know that they took part in it and they readily accept it. And when the government accepts it, you know, the public too, I'm quite sure will accept it. The census has its own processes. After the conduct of the census, the interim report will be submitted to Mr. President. Mr. President will invite, will call a National Council of State meeting to approve it if it's okay. And they are all members of the National Council of State. And when it's approved, it has to be tabled before the National Assembly. Once that is done, the census exercise is concluded, but we'll continue with post-census activities, the post-enumeration survey, the analysis, publication, and so on of the outcome. So that is where we are, and our visit here is to actually continue to solicit the support of the government and people of Kwara State, my dear state, so that we have a very successful census exercise.
In his response, the Kwara State Deputy Governor, Kayode Alabi, commended the Commission for the meticulous plans put in place for the population and housing census, saying they are supportive of the exercise because data is key to development planning.
Data collections, I'm a market consultant by profession, and I know what it is to have to collect data, and I know what it is to disseminate data too. And thank God we're in a highly competitive market now, 21st century. It will get to a stage now that a lot of manufacturers will come to you for data and they will pay for it, because they will need data to know how many children were born in 2023 in North Central, Northwest, Northeast, Southwest, South, Southeast, to know which media to use to get in touch with this, the strata groups, you understand? So I think we should look into that. and I mean, they pay for it. So now they're going to conduct census. It's going to be an advantage for NPC and for Nigeria, so that we can know how to share the resources in different geopolitical. And we thank God that technology has also taken over a lot of things, so you'll be able to get the right data, right people, to know people in every area in Nigeria.
The Federal Commissioner representing Kwara State in the National Population Commission headquarters in Abuja, Abdulrazak Folorunsho Gidado, noted that the Kwara State government has been supporting the Commission in all its activities, adding that the premium placed on the visiting team is a sign of the high position the state government places on the National Population Commission.
I'm short of words to really appreciate the concern and efforts of the state government, and particularly the deputy governor. Honestly, he has been with us all through. In fact, most times he put across to me that we should let him know what is next in our program that he has been doing, and which we really appreciate. The state government generally has been very, very supportive throughout the processes, the EAD and other exercises. They gave us the funds they could afford to give, at least to support all of us and the functionaries that they have been doing.
In a related development, but on a lighter note, the Emir of Ilorin, Alhaji Ibrahim Sulu Gambari, says the National Population Commission has forced the people of Kwara State to be praying for the success of the National Population Commission, because the surname of the Commission's chairman is also the name of their state, which they want to always be successful. Speaking at his palace during an advocacy visit ahead of the planned population and housing census, the traditional ruler prayed God to help the staff conduct a credible census, which should be an improvement on previous censuses. Earlier, Nasir Issa Kwara, chairman of the National Population Commission, briefed the Emir of Ilorin on plans for the population and housing census. He said 99.6% of the country was physically demarcated during the enumeration area demarcation, while 0.04% was demarcated using hybrid technology. The Minister of State for Budget and National Planning says the cost for the 2023 Population and Housing Census is high because it includes enumeration of houses, which was not the case in previous censuses. Compared to cost per person to be enumerated, Clem Agba explained that it is within the acceptable standard, having taken note of what other countries spent per person for enumeration during the census. The minister was speaking recently in Abuja during a forum to raise more funds for the population and housing census.
Censuses all over the world, the average is between $4 to $6. However, in the United States, they spend $16 per person. In Botswana, they spend about $10 per person. So Nigeria's $6 per person, you will agree with me, is very, very reasonable. Because we want each enumerator to have a tablet, not that they will be sharing. Because when they begin to share, it creates room for rigging. And we don't want to rig the census. 2, these tablets are going to be automatically uploading the numbers as they are worked. As they go to each household and take the information, it automatically uploads the information that has been provided. And so, it means that we'll require internet and data connectivity for those tablets. A while ago, I heard it called Glow. This is where they come in. Glow, MTN, and the rest of them. We don't think we should be spending money buying the data. We think that you should give us the data, and that is a much, much worthy contribution in doing it in kind. The other is 2 sets of training that needs to be done. And all of these actually need to be done just before the census. That's why they haven't been done. A training of 885,000 persons to do the building, numbering, and household listing of all the building and households in the country. And this has to be done for about 7 days. It's actually about 4 days of training and then 3 days of actually doing the work. And the building, numbering, and household listing of all building and households in the country for 5 days. And then another set of training will now take place for the enumerators. This one now has to do with how they will do the census itself. First is the buildings. They are taught what to do, and then the next one is doing it itself. And the main census enumeration is another activity. However, when the numbers are done and they've gone up, they need to be analyzed. So we require some data crunching, data analysis, putting them in perspective, in readable form that you can understand what it means in terms of how many women do we have, how many youths do we have, and these youths, are you defining them as 35 to 18? Are you including the 18 to 1 in this? So we'll have all of those demographics, and those that needs to be done. And then thereafter, we'll need to conduct a post-enumeration survey in the enumeration areas to match the household data for validation. So this actually gives a breakdown on an activity-by-activity basis and what is required. And like I did say, we have done the first and the second census pretest, as well as the trial census. A mapping of special populations and compilation of historical events calendar to aid accurate collection of age data during the census. So if you know the number of women and you know the number of men, how old are they? Who are the aged one that needs to be provided for? Who are the young ones? So all of those activities have been, the mapping has been done. Setup of robust data quality, monitoring and evaluation structure for the census, e-procurement system to ensure transparency, fairness, and inclusivity in the recruitment process. The call center, or what sometimes some people call a situation room, is already set up. The conduct of the trial post-enumeration survey has also been done. You heard this morning that stakeholders conference had held, both at the national and at the state level. A comprehensive publicity and advocacy strategy has been developed. And then the trainers have also been done, training of more than 60,000 facilitators at both the national, zonal, and state level. Also more than 10,000 specialized workforce, center managers, monitoring and evaluation. And then the inauguration of the Census Security and Logistics Census Publicity Committee at the national level. Also inauguration at the state and local government.
And that's how we end this edition of the program. Thank you for watching. I am Nkechi Okeshola.